Alright, so Apocalypse of the Gods chapter number 16, and we are going to be kicking off into match number 4 of round 1 between Morgan and Nezha. Before that though, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Make sure you stay on this side of the Record of Ragnarok algorithm by dropping a like. Also, shout out to the members. We just got a new one yesterday. I appreciate all the support. Alright, so kicking things off, we are picking up where we left off. Obviously, Indra just won. We see the narration say round 1, match 3 winner, Thunder God Indra. And Ares and Hermes are reflecting on this, where Ares says Hermes, and Hermes says yes, quite so. Ares continues and says, this apocalypse is really dangerous. Take that God Indra. Make no mistake, in order to succeed in that last death match, he leveled up to an even more fearsome fighter beyond what he'd ever been before. Hermes says, yeah, the strength he just displayed is even comparable to the chief gods, and I dare say he doesn't come up lacking. When he says this, we see Thor, Hades, and Shiva behind him. So that's pretty interesting. Obviously, we've talked about kind of the new rivalry between Indra and Shiva potentially. This kind of furthers that narrative, especially because Hermes is exceptionally strong as well. We understand like what he's been able to see and perceive, and his analysis has been pretty spot on throughout these tournaments. Ares then says, so this is what it means for it to be God versus God. Every time that they fight, a brand new monster is born. It's pretty cool. So it kind of talks about, are we going to potentially see gods elevating themselves throughout this tournament, getting stronger and stronger throughout it? And Ares continues by saying, this tournament, it goes beyond all godly sense, making these monsters devour each other. That's like reminding me of Blue Lock. Jin Khan. At the end of all this, just what manner of beast will be born? This really epic shot of a beast emerging from the ground. And moreover, if the winner is an outer god, the danger this presents is unfathomable, obviously because of the provision. And he alludes to that when he talks to Zeus here. He says, Father, the bonus prize, you haven't forgotten about it, right? Obviously talking about the provision of Valhalla uncontested. Zeus chuckles and says, of course not. Ares says, if something occurs, then I, as the god of war, shall fulfill my duty. And if my power isn't enough, he thinks, then I'll sacrifice this body to Nifl. So obviously we know Ares isn't that strong. He had that one little fight with Hercules way back before Hercules even ascended to godhood. But I respect this because it doesn't matter. He doesn't even care if he's going to have to die. He's going to go out there and fight. So I respect it. He's willing to protect his home. That's pretty cool. Anything it takes to protect my beloved Valhalla, and he walks off. Zeus then says this outside of Ares' earshot. He chuckles and says, don't worry. He quotes Ares and says, I shall fulfill my duty, huh? I had the same thought. Now this got me hyped because obviously we know Zeus ends up taking the spot for the final position in Ragnarok. We don't know how that happens. The winner is supposed to get that spot. So we've kind of talked about, is Zeus going to take one of the contestant spots and end up fighting in this tournament, or is he going to fight the winner for the spot? This tells me 100% that something along those lines is going to happen. I don't know which outcome, but Zeus is clearly going to go toe-to-toe with the winner, or at least he's going to go down to the arena to challenge him. Like if somebody like Wukong wins, I could see a scenario where Wukong's like, yeah, I don't even want to fight anyway, or something like that. Maybe they go that route, but Zeus is 100% confronting the winner, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just straight up beats him. Now we cut back to the actual arena with Yara, the announcer, talking. She says, now then everyone, the excitement for match 3 was only just started to cool off, but have you noticed something? For better or for worse, the last match took place outside of the arena. So that means that the stage we had prepared for that match is completely unharmed. Therefore, we can start match 4 without any delay. And we see the silhouettes of Morgan and Nezha, obviously the next two competitors. We now cut away. We see Sandy and Piggy, Wukong's brothers, and they're out up in the mountains and they're saying, ah shit, the next match is about to start. Just where the hell did Big Bro go off to? Sandy says he got his mojo back, but his carefree attitude is the same as always. And Piggy's like, there's no helping it. Should just you and I go watch without him? And Sandy's like, maybe why not? But in this tournament, after everything, who do you think will be the last one standing in the end? I mean, outside of Big Bro, of course. Pig Eye laughs. He's like, I don't care. Whoever makes it, it doesn't matter because there's nobody that can beat Big Bro. So they're hyping their brother. Wukong, obviously they think he's the top dog, but what they say next is really interesting. Big Bro is the strongest, although as he is now, if anyone could give him trouble, it'd be just that one guy. We don't know who they're talking about just yet, but right as they say this, Cucullin actually shows up and He says, well, ain't that just something interesting? He's sitting up in a tree observing them. How about letting me hear about that? Sounds like a real good story. Well, who is this strongest dude? It's kind of a weird statement because, like, you know, probably Wukong. Maybe he didn't see that these guys were with Wukong, but he's obviously fighting Wukong next. And basically Pigman and Sandy are saying, oh, holy shit, you're the guy fighting Big Bro in round 2. And Ku jumps down. They say your name was Cucullin, and Ku just scoffs and's like, what's with the attitude from you guys? I was pretty thrown off after old man Prometheus lost, but I'm glad because now I get to fight against a guy who I can go all out against. He's talking about Wukong, obviously, so he seemed to have been impressed. And maybe he was insinuating that he wouldn't have been able to go all out against Prometheus because, like, Prometheus saved him. But aura around Ku looks crazy here. And the funny thing about it is Wukong's brothers really don't even pay him any mind. They kind of just walk past him and they're like, who does this kid think he is? He's got guts though, I'll give him that. We don't hate that because guys like you remind us of Big Bro the way he was way back then. But they clearly don't even see this man as a threat to Wukong. We'll have to see. I'm really hyped for that fight. I think it's going to be more of a challenge than some people think, but I do think Wukong probably wins. We'll have to find out though. We now actually see Wukong, who's chilling in a tree like far off into the mountains himself, just laid back, and the narrator says that was carved into Sun Wukong's body, the memories of that legendary fight. So what they were referencing about the guy that could potentially challenge him and how he was back then is going to be explained right here. We see that these massive gods were synthetic gods. So we saw these guys in Wukong's super move. We also saw them in his backstory, but they were synthetic gods, explained to be Deus Ex Machina mechanical gods. So I guess they're synths or robots of a sort. They say long ago various evil gods rampaged across the land, and thus they were created to pacify increasingly chaotic worlds. So these mechanical gods were a creation. We don't know who the creator was. In this war with the synthetic gods, a nameless monkey from the backwater trained himself to become the strongest battle god, and it was not an exaggeration to call him the great sage Heaven's equal. However, within his legend, there exists a deeper truth than was ever told. So he started destroying these mechanical gods, right? We see he's taking some battle damage, but then this awesome silhouette appears like right on this mountain and challenges Wukong to a fight, and it's revealed that this is actually Nezha. We cut back to the arena and Yara says, in this apocalypse, the dangerous ones are not only the outer gods. Long ago, to defeat rampaging evil gods, they created autonomous divine soldiers capable of meting out divine punishment. They were called synthetic gods, but amongst them, he stood alone as the only special one. And then we see that Piggy and Sandy show up in the arena and they're like, damn, there he is. In this tournament, if there was anyone who could give Big Bro trouble, it'd be that asshole and that asshole alone. Starting with the great sage Heaven's equal, he was created to hunt down those that the synthetic gods couldn't handle themselves. A truly special existence. In other words, the anti-outer god synthetic god, the strongest amongst them. Now, they actually get into what was said in Journey to the West, because I'm sure if you guys have read that, you know that Nezha and Wukong is like a big fight that happens there. And they say that in the Journey to the West, he fought against Sun Wukong, the great sage Heaven's equal, and at the end of their battle, it is said that he was defeated, but that tale was fiction. So on the record of Ragnarok verse, Nezha did not actually lose to Wukong. We see this epic panel of them fighting, and it's a true extreme diff. They're both impaling each other with their weapons. And they say that the truth is, after fighting for 17 days straight, like Akainu and Aokiji from One Piece, that was 10 days, this is 17, they couldn't reach an end to their battle. And then we see Enmadayo. Enmadayo is the one that said that. He continues and says, I mean, after that fight, the records were erased across all of Valhalla, so it might as well have never happened. So somebody was hiding the results of that fight for whatever reason. But obviously, those two feel differently about it. He concludes with that, and we see Nezha just like aura farming in the arena. He thinks, since that day, I hunted down innumerable evil gods. I even hunted down the other outer gods. So I don't know what outer god this is, but we know that he has taken down an outer god, at least one. But he implies multiple. Yet no matter how many gods I hunted down, my heart remained empty. You, Wukong, it is your fault. Of what consequence is humanity's extinction? Who is the strongest? This apocalypse, Ragnarok, None of that means anything to me. I simply want to fight because I will not allow the outer gods to do as they please. Entrust their subjugation to me, the god created to make even outer gods tremble in fear. The synthetic god, Nezha from China. My mission from that day is still incomplete. And in order to complete my mission, I have long since upgraded my combat abilities. Simply act as a well-mannered spectator and witness my newly upgraded power, Wukong. And he starts scanning the arena. We see that Nezha is basically like a cyborg, a full-on synth, like those mechanical gods, but the better version, I assume. They were like completely mechanical. He's probably like a legitimate god, like merged with whatever synth technology or whatever is out there. And he has like this Dragon Ball Z-esque scanner that is like, we'll see later, can actually kind of deduce somebody's power level. We don't really know like what the extent of that is, but he's also scanning the arena for Wukong, and he's confused because he can't actually find him. And he's like, surely not. And it says searching immediate vicinity, search parameters, Great Sage Heavens equals on Wukong, search complete, no results found matching the parameters. And it's a comedic scene, but he's like, Wukong, how dare you skip out of my fight? And it cuts back to Wukong, who's like up in the mountains, like sleeping, drooling. He's like, oh shit, what time is it? And as is kind of throwing a fit, then we're gonna move on to like Morgan's introduction here. But what I wanted to say was, you know, this is a really cool development about Nezha being a true rival to Wukong. They had a 17-day fight that seems like it ended in a draw. I will say though, Wukong fought the mechanical gods before that. It looked like he was battle damaged going in. So I mean, it's not like a true fair fight. Like Wukong was already kind of fatigued beforehand, so it's not as if they're completely equal. You can still argue, you know, Wukong was battle damaged before that. You know, we don't know how much stronger Wukong got since then, and you'd assume that he got stronger, obviously, because how his power works is like taking all his pain, so he got probably a ton of pain from that fight, and et cetera, et cetera. But we know Nezha also got stronger, so it's going to be interesting. They might be setting up that fight later on. Now, moving on to Morgan's entrance, we see Nezha has an alert go off, which is reacting to Morgan as a dangerous threat. It says dangerous presence detected in the immediate vicinity, classification level 5. So this is probably going to be important as the tournament goes on, whether he wins and he assesses other combatants he fights, or as a spectator, this still may go off, but classifies Morgan as a level 5. I wouldn't be surprised if there's higher classifications as this tournament goes on. He looks toward Morgan. Morgan looks huge. They call her the outer god unbelievable, pretty badass. And his scanner goes off again and says identifying the target's identity, outer god, the Morgan. And Yara goes off saying, the strongest goddess, don't make me laugh. I'm the strongest of the gods and goddesses, quoting what Morgan said. During the battle to determine the strongest goddess, in the final match, Echidna, who was hailed as the top-seeded fighter, was pummeled within an inch of her life. So that's who Morgan beat. Apparently there was some tournament to declare her the strongest goddess in Valhalla. I find this a little bit interesting because at one point Aphrodite was originally supposed to fight in Ragnarok, so I wonder if she participated in this tournament, and it would have actually been kind of cool if she was the one that Morgan fought in the finals, but they didn't go that route. The pure destructive power she's loaded with is truly dreadnought class, says Yara. Morgan then says the hell when she's looking down at Nezha, because she looks way bigger than him. Another scrawny faced twink is what she says. Ain't you been eating your meals, little bitch? Maybe take this as a sign you screwed up. Huge size discrepancy. Nezha then says, what a shame. She says, huh? He says, in my experience, simple-minded beasts like you are the ones that I destroyed the most easily. And Morgan has her veins start pulsating in her face, and she chuckles and says, huh, you don't say, huh? And off rip, she just immediately attacks him. As she's attacking, Yara's like, Zeus, Odin, couldn't care less. I'll beat them all up if I want to. That's apparently what Morgan has said. Yara is just quoting her. And Yara finishes that off by saying she is the great queen, the Morgan. Full throttle from the get-go. Nezha versus the Morgan begins. I think Nezha's going to win this fight most likely, but I'm interested to see how strong Morgan is. It's possible either of them can win because obviously Morgan wants to get her get back on Ku. She lost to him. Nezha wants to settle the score with Wukong, so there's two potential rematches that can come out of this fight for the winner, but the winner is going to have a tall task fighting Indra, so I can't wait to see where we go from here. I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited for Nezha. He's looking pretty badass, and I can't wait to see his moveset, so let me know what you guys think. It also does look like Morgan's divine weapon is some kind of gauntlet, so she's a brawler with a gauntlet. we'll see what that entails. I'll see you guys all in the preview prediction video. Peace.